help for the stretch run?
We put together a couple good practices. Just, one, we got some guys to get some time off, let their bodies come back a little. I think that was needed. It was a pretty physical game against Mississippi State. That helped, but more importantly, we were able to do some fundamental things and get back to some basics and, get a couple guys back and things like that. And so I think that just, see if we can continue to build and take a step forward, which I feel good about, but we got to go out and do it.
All the talk usually surrounds Tennessee's offense. Is there anything specifically defensively that jumps out to you?
They do a good job. I like what they do as far as schematically. I mean, it's got some NFL to it actually, style of play to it, which I do value and appreciate how they coach, and they do a good job. They got some. I feel like they've had a couple players that they played against last year that have really developed and become really good football players. I see on tape they're playing with confidence. I know 33, the linebacker, has got, to me, he's become a real good instinctive player. He runs around. And they know what they're doing. They got a good scheme. They cause havoc. They create negative plays. They got a mindset. They'll attack you if they need to, and they can play coverage if they need to. They play a lot of man at times. I mean, they went out and locked LSU and Alabama down and just went mano-a-mano, and they had some success doing that, and they really stymied LSU. So I feel like they have a good, solid plan. They can attack you a lot of ways, and we're going to have to be ready for everything.
Is it any more important to stay out of those negative plays in this type of game than any other game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, what you don't want to do is put a bunch of pressure on yourself, like you have to do this, and you got to go out there and be yourself and play your game. But if you are not at your best and you do not take care of the football, and if you do have mistakes that set you back and kill drives, they are the kind of team that they can get away from you and they will lap you. I mean, their style of play, that's what they're trying to do, and they're very, very, very good at that. So we got to play great complementary football. We have to take care of the football. We have to limit the mistakes, penalties, and all that. And if we can do that and play our style of game, we'll see what happens. But yeah, you don't want to. The last thing you want to do is go into a hostile environment like that late night and play from behind and play into their game. So
you kind of touched on it there, but how big is the time of possession in this one? You dominated it last week, but kind of wanting to keep that offense of theirs off the field.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like it's about points per possession. So if we can, it's the turnovers and points off turnovers that affect the game negatively that have to be avoided, and we cannot start slow like it has happened at times this year. We need to put drives together, but they need to end in touchdowns, not field goals. If you're looking to trade touchdowns in this type of game, you're going to get run out of the building. So we have a big challenge ahead of us, and we're ready for it. But it's not going to be easy, and they're very well coached, and they got a lot of talent, and it's going to be a really big challenge on a big stage. So it should be exciting, but they're very good.
We've seen that, each week we've had somebody missing on the offense due to injury. You're getting as close to healthy as you've been this whole year. Does that really help open up what you want to do offensively, or you just kind of at this point you are who you are and it's plug and play?
Yeah, I mean, you can't use injuries as an excuse. The reality is you have to adapt to your players, and yes, we've had a number of revolving doors, and a guy comes back, and then all of a sudden, halftime he's out. That's the stuff that is hard, but that's just the way the game goes nowadays. And but I will say, yes, it was nice having the week off. It was nice getting guys back. It was nice feeling like you have all your bullets in your gun and you can go out and be your best version of yourself. So I am encouraged by all that. I'm encouraged by what we have going for us in that respect. But it's our job to put together a good plan and go out and execute it, because it's going to be a difficult one. So we're excited for it, but it's going to be a good one.
It seems like the offensive line is starting to get their rhythm a little bit. Have you felt a sense of that as well, just going into or after the bye week, going into the Tennessee game, that they're still in practice getting their rhythm? Yeah,
I think that, again, I think the run game started to really come together against Ole Miss, but obviously that helps having your star tailback back. It's no mystery that great runners make for a great run game, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone else, but he is one of the best. It's the reason he's going to get drafted and be a really good NFL back. So I said before, he helps his own scheme because he knows how to push his combinations and he makes guys better. That creates confidence. And when you're doing that and you have that kind of mindset, you can all feed off of that, and then your confidence can grow. So I felt like it's been close and it's gotten better with, and I felt like last week, we were able to sustain it. It was a close game and we were able to stay with it. I mean, it was 3-3 at halftime. If the game gets away from you, you're not able to do that, and that's what happened at South Carolina. We weren't able to run it the second half because we were playing catch up. If you're in that world, it's going to expose some other things, and so when you can play your style of play, you can let those guys have success and play physical and be the kind of group you want them to be.
Rich, you've been here since the spring going against your own defense. What impresses you about Brad White as a coordinator, as a play caller, as a designer of defense?
He's one of the best D coordinators I've been around. I've said this to a few people. I mean, he plays with the style of play. Actually reminds me a little bit of Vic Fangio in the way that, like, Vic just had this mind, and he was known as an odd defense savant, and he was one of the best and always the hardest to go against, and he adapted and adjusted, and he understood his defense and he understood himself. And I feel like Brad is that guy. Like, he's super intelligent. He sees the game through the quarterback. He sees the little things. He coaches the details. He's versatile. He can adapt. He's a really good teacher. I've been very, very impressed by Brad.
Tennessee's put at least 34 points in each of their games. How much pressure does that put on your offense to keep up with their pace?
Yeah, again, it can go that way because you're going to get more possessions because of the way they play. I mean, I think last year when they played each other, Tennessee, or I think UK had 94 plays against them. I mean, that's far more than they had in any other game. I mean, it's just the way they play is going to lend itself to more possessions. Again, we have to make our possessions count. And if we do that with points, we're okay. If you don't, yeah, it's going to be difficult to keep up with them. But it's our job to take care of the rock and make it matter. And I'm excited for this challenge. I think it's two different styles. It's a tough environment, and you just got to go play your game and let the chips fall where they fall.
When you talk about environment, you've been to Ole Miss, you've been to Florida, Tennessee, a different environment as you might have saw last week. Just how much we heard the noise out there, how much are you guys emphasizing more this week to silent counts, the cohesion, calls and all that?
It's cool. It's awesome. Like, it's nothing better. I mean, it's that's the reason I'm coaching in this conference. I mean, it's like I've said before, in a lot of ways, it's just different than the NFL and more intense in some ways in those stadiums. I mean, people are living and dying with every call, and it's pretty neat, and there's a real sense of pride that can go with going in and functioning efficiently in that kind of environment, because it's very, very hard to do, and it's a very, very big challenge. You play in a great team in a great environment. What's better than that? And if you can do that, you deserve it. And if you can't, you can't. But I'm excited for the challenge. I think we will be up for it. And you got to rally together, and you got to handle all those variables. And again, we'll see where it ends up. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be a tough task, but it'll be just a great experience. And I think we can do some really good things if we're the best version of ourselves come Saturday night.
I know it's not your job to slow them down, but as someone who appreciates good offense and good quarterback play, what has impressed you, maybe what you've seen of Hendon Hooker? Of Hendon Hooker, their quarterback.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a playmaker. I mean, no other way. I mean, that offense, I believe, it just lends itself to allowing a guy to be that kind of playmaker, and you need to be able to play off schedule, to improvise, and to play with confidence. And I think he's playing that way, and I think he's got some really good skill guys around him, and I think they got a really good scheme. It's they have clear identity, and when you have those things, I think you can do something pretty good, and I think that's what they've done. But yeah, I would love to have some 15-play drives and eat up 7 minutes. So if we can get that done and stay on the field, that'd be great. But it doesn't always go that way. So,
Rich, you mentioned the NFL a couple of times, and can you think of an experience that you have facing maybe an offense that does things similar to this, or the tempo, or high scoring?
I mean, like, again, there are weeks when you're in for the challenge because your defense maybe isn't loaded or the offense is so good, but you just can't play this way in the NFL. Like, it's a different style of play. You can't play out the splits. You can't play this kind of play, and you can't go this fast because the game doesn't allow you to go this fast. So it is a different animal, and that's a huge challenge for a defense like Brad. Like, I mean, I see it on tape when these guys play. Like, it is a different element now, and it's very difficult on defenses. So from my perspective, the challenge of, like, you play the Chiefs or you play some dynamic offense and you got to be efficient. yeah, you got to be at your best, and you have to take that with pride, and you have to go out there and you have to execute your best. And if you do, you give yourself a chance to win, and that's all you can ask for.
When you're playing a team like Tennessee or even the NFL that has a dynamic offense that scores a lot of points, does their defense take more chances because they feel like even if they they get burned on something, their offense is going to make up for it?
Yeah, what it's funny is the games are completely different, and it's really kind of cool. And I've been in both, and it's been great to be back in this environment. The SEC's been tremendous, but yeah, I mean, in the NFL, you can't just people don't all out blitz. You know, I had a great coach tell me one time, the reason you don't see that is because if you give up a 7-yard touchdown in the NFL, the owner will fire you the next day. So in college, you can be a little more risky when you have an offense that's playing with possessions and doesn't matter, and they're trying to create havoc and negative plays and take you out of your game and get you off schedule. And I think that's a complementary style that they play. They do a very good job of it. They're very well coached on both sides, and that's a tremendous challenge. But what a good challenge, and I think we'll be up for it.
Coach, we saw Mark talk about in an interview some possibilities in the future of maybe packages with Destin, and then we also saw he was listed on the depth chart this week. What have you liked from what you saw in him in practice, maybe for the future and something like that?
I would say that's part of having the bye week, was able to get those guys a lot of work and to let them take reps and play and evaluate them. And I had seen him trending positively the last few weeks. We had him ready to play against South Carolina. We had a package for him. Had a package for him every week since, and I'm excited about where he's at. And I think the more reps he gets, the more comfortable he'll be. But it's not easy to be a young guy and to have not been here in the spring and to not get all the reps. But he has made the most of them. He's got really good makeup. He's a winner by nature, and that's why he's here. And he's competitive, and so he's done a lot of good stuff, and he's earned the opportunity to compete for that 2 spot.
The Vols pass defense is pretty close to last in college football. What have you seen on tape that you'd like to exploit in that secondary?
Yeah, again, I don't. It's funny is it's hard always in college to compare statistics. It's apples and oranges. I mean, we're out there grinding it out from the huddle, and everyone's saying, "Hey, you're 5th slowest or 3rd slowest," whatever. Okay, yeah, you're right. But the reality of it is when you're going to play that fast, you're going to give up more yards and more stuff. And especially when they're playing with leads, they're going to play for and they're playing with leads. The defense is going to play a little different. So I think that they're capable of playing a close game, or if they can get on top of you, they'll play a certain style too. And so I don't know if it's about exploiting Tennessee. I think they have a really good defense. I think it's more or less how the game unfolds and does it allow you to be you. And if it does, and Will plays well, and we play well around him, and he can distribute the ball, I think we'll have success. But if we don't, it's going to be very, very difficult.
Rich, you talk about in the NFL, you can't play the way Tennessee does on offense. So Will playing in your offense that's a pro style that comes from that, how big is that for his draft status for people looking at him as a prospect, as opposed to if he was playing in a run and shoot?
It's a huge deal. And knowing the guys who I've talked to and knowing the why, and having done every draft for the last 5 years, it's just I know how it works, and I know it's hard for people to evaluate spread quarterbacks in college, in the NFL, and there's a learning curve of things that is too long to list for a guy that does make it harder for those guys. Not to say that they had, Patrick Mahomes was great, best, generational player, but he also sat for a year and it was helpful. That's the difference. Will be ready-made day one. He'll walk in and he'll own it, and he can call a play, he can visualize it. He knows protections, he knows the run game, he knows coverages, he knows fronts, he knows it all. And that part of the game comes with playing with this kind of offense, which does help a developmental process for those types of quarterbacks. So yeah, in the big picture, it's why he will be one of the first guys picked. It's why people will respect that and see that. And those days are down the road for him. Right now it's Tennessee, but I do feel like it has made it easier for people to evaluate him.
Rick, you've been to Florida and Ole Miss and played in front of some great atmospheres already. Does that help you a little bit in the guys not getting too hyped or overexcited in the early stages of this?
Yeah, I think just in general, we're very young in a lot of spots and have been, and now they've played games, and I always feel like it's somewhere between 3 to 5 games for a player when the game begins to slow down. And so, yeah, you're hoping that having gone in those environments, having been a tackle that's had to pass set a really good SEC guy on the road with the crowd going crazy and him jumping the count, and I think those things give you experience to lean on that can help you play more confidently because you know what you're in for. But it's never easy, and it's a hard task, and that's why winning on the road is so hard in these environments. So it's a great challenge, but yeah, it is hard.
Okay, folks, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.